Yeah, I think the main thing is putting on the pads after a couple days of acclimation, and obviously being out there in the heat day after day, and going 3 on, 1 off. So I think that's the biggest thing, and then obviously just guys asserting themselves as jobs, trying to take jobs in terms of earning their spot on the field.
And I know something that's been coming about, obviously we talk about quarterbacks a lot, it's football, but with this group in particular, I know there have been the kind of narrative there is that all three guys, everybody feels comfortable that day one, whoever hit the field, you feel comfortable running the offense. You're looking for somebody to kind of emerge, kind of prove themselves. What's something that you're looking for that guy to jump out to lead the team?
One thing we emphasize, and really Coach Scoop, is poise and command. And obviously making winning plays comes with that. But having poise out there, it's a little easier when we're out there on the practice field with them, but having poise in live situations, scrimmages, 2-minute situations where it's just them and the other 10. Looking for that and just command, being able to operate, knowing their job cold, and make winning plays. I feel like everybody in the room can do that, but it's who's going to do it more consistently.
Is there like a specific moment from your quarterback career that you have just kind of like talked to any of the quarterback room? One moment that like stuck out that you could teach?
I think there's so many, just from, starting as a freshman, starting 3 years in a row, getting hurt, rehabbing 2 years, and then the role I had up at Florida State was different than my role here. And, I think all those guys are going to, in one way or another, kind of have similar paths, whether they're the starter or not. So, I try to prepare them for everything and anything, whether they're going to be the guy or the 2, the 3, the 4, to just approach it every day by being their best. And that's the lessons I learned from, the time being the guy and not being the guy at times. It's just all you can control is your attitude and effort, and approaching every day to just get 1% better at whatever your role is. The hardest thing to do at this position, because only one guy really takes it. But if they do that, I think when their time's done, when they're my age, when they're Coach Frost's age, Coach Coop's age, like they'll look back and, you really won't have any regrets.
And we talk about highlights. Thanks for answering the question. That's perfect. With your highlights, we've heard the story by now about you showing highlight videos to your guys there and them seeing what McKenzie was as a player. What are some highlights just in your time coaching, and be it with Dylan here, previously coaching him up, being at FSU, coaching, teaching them, or your time Tennessee? Is there like kind of a coaching highlight in your mind that you're taking that like, I use this here and it really worked for these guys?
I think Dylan's a good one for me. Just, I feel like I taught him a lot, but I feel like I learned a lot from him, just being a professional before you're a professional. And that's why he's been successful everywhere he's gone. And, I think for me, it was just super proud of him to where he's at now, and that was a cool culmination for me. And then Jordan Travis, seeing what he blossomed into over his time at Florida State. I think now just, I've seen guys get to where they want to go by being consistent and working hard. There's no secret recipe. A lot of guys say they want it, but actions always speak louder than words.
And you mentioned Dylan. I have to ask this just because that Cleveland scenario is way different than anything anybody else. Do you feel like anybody else could have coached and be prepared for that more than you, with all the spotlight that was here on this program when you were here, that kind of thing?
I think biggest thing, Dylan and I are still pretty close. It's just like your freshman year, man. Just go earn it, and everything outside of your own head is distractions. And the opinions that matter the most to me are, one, the guys in the locker room, but just as, if not important, the one in your own head. And if you get caught up in all the Twitter sphere, Instagram sphere, the 247 sports, the tabloids, it's just wasted energy, And I think Dylan's time throughout college, being at 3 different places, and in a way, he's kind of always stepped into the shoes after the guy, being it, whether it's here, Caleb Williams at Oklahoma, Bo Nix at Oregon, and he just beat to his own drum, approached it like he was a freshman, consistent, hard work, and he's been successful, So at the end of the day, all you can control is your attitude, effort, Dylan's done a great job of that everywhere he's gone, and I expect nothing else. With his time in Cleveland, he'll do great no matter what his role is.
Is there a specific question that has stood out to you from any of the top quarterbacks in your room that maybe challenged you in a way whenever they asked it?
It's hard to pinpoint one, just because these guys, they ask a lot of high-level questions. Like Cam's played a bunch of ball, and he kind of sees it as a coach. And I would like to say I'm surprised at some of the questions he asked, but I'm really not, just because he's super dialed. Taven, he asked me the other day, "Hey, coach, how should I watch film? How do I watch film?" And Jakari's just, from the time we got here to now, he's grown so much as a quarterback, as a leader, and it's been fun to watch. So, and then Davi getting here in June has picked up the playbook like that. So it's been fun to watch. Just each guy kind of has to work on individual things. But from a level of detail standpoint, there's not one specific question I could say, but all four of them are really asking high-level stuff, which is fun for me to see.
Would you say that they each kind of have a high level of football IQ?
I think so. It's hard to say in-game IQ because I haven't really seen them play yet, but on paper, yes. Because we prepare, we draw, we test very, very often, and that's one thing I'm keen on. If you can't do it on paper, you definitely can't do it on the grass. So on paper, for sure, they have a good idea of what our offense is supposed to look like, but now it's got to be functional intelligence on the grass is what we're looking to do here in fall camp.
Coach, go ahead.
How much have you grown into this coaching role, and how do you like it?
I love it, man. I feel like this is what God has, made me to do, and I feel like just my whole journey as a player, it's kind of prepared me for this. And then last 2 years up at Knoxville with Coach Hype, just learning from, everybody that's taught me something along this path is helped me to get to this point, and I'm beyond grateful for this opportunity.
More to go.
As I can tell, you've kept in shape and all that, and seen you working out there a bit in the practice building there. But do you feel like as a coach you get just as hyped up as if you're going to a workout as a player? Do you get that same kind of excitement, or is it different somehow when you're getting in there, you got your clipboard, getting ready to go?
I'm still looking for that itch as a player. I kind of live vicariously through the guys, but I try to be a steady beacon of calmness for those guys. And don't get me wrong, I get fired up when they make a big play or a bad play. It's high energy, but I try to be consistent for those guys and just always tell the guys be the calm in the storm. And if I'm rocking the boat, I feel like that might ooze onto them. So I try to stay calm, cool, and collected for the most part, but I'll get fired up for them and chest bump them if they're doing something great, or I'll give them a slap on the back of the head if they don't do something right either. So
you talked on being under Coach Hype. Is there a certain mentor or philosophy that you've grown in your own coaching style?
I would say Coach Frost and Coach Hype have been the two most impactful guys for me, and I'm just grateful I've gotten the opportunity to work for both of them now. I would say in today's day and age, one thing I say is focus on your relationships being transformational, not transactional in this NIL world, and it's a challenging thing. There's an old saying, Coach Hype says, you get what you recruit. So just being very conscious of the guys we bring into this building, especially at our position, is something that we're all approaching the right way, I think. And I think we brought in the right guys this time, and we look to keep doing that.
You were obviously a player with Coach Frost, took over the first time here. How confident are you that he can instill that culture and turn things around quickly again?
If there's anybody to do it, it's him. I feel like at this place, speaking from the first time, I don't think it was necessarily a talent issue. I think it was more of a culture issue, and I think we've kind of seen the same things when we first got here, for whatever reason that might have been. And one thing I do see is, these guys are attacking. Guys have transformed their bodies in the off season. I think there's a hunger for these guys. I think they want to be good. But having said that, we haven't had any success yet because we haven't played any games, and we haven't had any adversity yet because we haven't played any games. So that's the real challenge, to see how our team responds when we either have success or adversity, whether we, do this or do that. And the former, first year we had some ups and downs. Second year we came together, and it was a beautiful thing. So we aim to do that. I think we'll go undefeated in 2 seasons. TBD. We got a lot of things to hone in on, and that's starting today, but really practice one tomorrow. We got it's a mountain we're trying to climb here.
McKenzie, how much do you think is on you? How much will you put on yourself to get these 3 guys ready in the most pivotal position on the team?
Yeah, there's always saying pressure is what you feel when you don't know what you're doing. But I don't feel pressure because I know what I'm doing. Now, having said that, our guys have put in a lot of work, and I do feel like they're prepared to go earn a job. I don't know who it's going to be, but I wouldn't feel confident in one of these guys to go help us win if we hadn't put in a lot of work in this offseason. But these guys, they busted their butts in the weight room, in the film room, and I feel like whoever ends up winning the job is going to give us a chance to go have success. 100%. Practice 1 is tomorrow, and these guys got to go earn it.
What kinds of things do you need to see from them during fall camp to really get some separation?
Biggest thing, operating poise and command, and then making winning plays. Then putting us in positions to win games consistently. We'll do our best to simulate that in a practice setting. But those are the most important things: poise and command, and making winning, productive plays.
Coach also talked about Davy Belfort coming in and really making it. What has it been like working with him?
He's awesome. I told Davy this. He's better than I expected in terms of just picking up the playbook at a really rapid rate, and then just his demeanor, his persona. He's got a smile on his face, and he's ready to work every day. And I'm super grateful that he chose to come here.
Casey, what are the intangibles a QB has to have to run this offense?
Like I just said, poise and command are probably the 2 main things, and I think that's any offense really to be successful playing this position, is just having poise when it's just you and the other 10 out there, and having command, getting guys lined up in the right spot, and getting those other 10 to believe that they got a dog that's operating the huddle and running plays.
Coach Cooper talked about how all 3 of the quarterbacks kind of really in the race for starter right now have been showing different leadership qualities throughout the whole team. What is your view been seeing on that? What has really stood out to you from the 3 of them in terms of leadership standpoint?
Yeah, I'll start with the oldest, Cam, just being a professional, coming to work every day. And then JB, he's always got a look in his eye like he wants to be great. And then Taven, asking smart questions, speaking up when he feels conviction on a play to get guys right. And I would even say Davy, just the way he's attacked the summer grind and getting here in June and picking up the playbook like that. All these guys, they got different personalities, but I think they all have what it takes to go be a dude.
Coach Frost told us back at Big 12 Media Days about how when he really met Coach Milton for the first time at the U.S. Army Bowl back then. I wanted to get your opinion on that. Was that like the first time you were truly coaching with him, and what was it like to kind of be in that new relationship with him at the time?
Yeah, it was fun. I was a little nervous just because that's my first time on that side of it with Coach. I would say I was more nervous then than I am now. But it was fun. It was really just fun to see him again because it had been so long. And, it was great to really get an intro into kind of what he'd be like as a coach to work with. In that small, I think it was like 3 or 4 days, but it was a blessing. And, who would have known God would have brought us here a couple years later.
Do you find yourself with any traits that he did as a coach that you can now start doing that you're like, oh man, I got that from Frost?
Man, there's so much things that I've adopted from Coach, and I think the number one thing from him is fierce competitiveness, but also like calm, cool, and collective. And I think when you have a healthy balance of that, you're able to call plays at a way that he's able to and been able to in his career, but you're also able to get guys to play at a level of intensity that they may not be able to. I see it as like controlled chaos in the sense of executing at a high clip, but also playing with your hair on fire, and that's what he was able to instill in us here at UCF in the past. And that's the goal, to get it back to that. But I would say as a coach, that's probably the main things I took from him.
McKenzie, you talked to Scott a little bit about this, about building team chemistry, building that culture, but you've got 70 new players. For you in the quarterback room, how important was that to try to help build that chemistry and that culture, that everyone knew everyone and you didn't have to worry about trying to introduce each other all the time?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. As a quarterback, you can't really tell guys what to do if you don't know their name, right? So that's the start. Is just learning the guys around you. I always bring up the example of Gabe Davis and I. Like when we were players, him and I still are, really, really close friends. But when we're on the field, like, probably wouldn't see that a lot of times, just because there's a demand to go be the best between him and I. But the way we'd come at each other on the field, it wasn't ever personal, because we knew what our relationship was. Now, if you don't have a relationship with a guy and you come at him sideways on the field, they might not be super receptive towards that, because they don't know they have your best interests at heart. So that's something I try to emphasize to the guys. Like, you can't come at a guy sideways if you've never talked to him before. Now, you can come at a guy if you know where he's from, you know his family background, you know who he is, because each guy is going to take something a little different, So super important playing this position to know, how each guy ticks on the team and how they're going to respond to certain things.